maintenance. Hey guys, Aquatic Bobs. So in today's video, we're actually going to talk about two things. The first, what do I enjoy the most about the hobby? What do I think is the most fun and get the most out of? We're also going to talk about what's the hardest part of this hobby for me. What have I struggled with the most? What's been the most challenging? And what takes up time that I don't really enjoy doing? So anyways, if you guys like these videos, please subscribe and let's get to it. All right, so hey guys, here we are. Today, going to talk a little bit about what do I love about this hobby, what do I enjoy the most, and what's the most difficult part of this hobby. What can I share with you guys maybe in some of these experiences that will help you decide whether you want to get into the hobby or maybe not, but hopefully get into it, or maybe just help you learn and grow in the hobby if you're already in. So first thing I want to talk about is what's the most enjoyable to me, and that would definitely be the coral. And I actually have to say though too, part of this hobby and part of what I love about it is the people as well. Now there's always people that are, very difficult to talk to and get along with. But in this hobby, I find more often than not, people are just so excited about coral that they just have good attitudes. They're willing to share, they're willing to talk to. And there are those who like to make money and are just looking for a quick buck. But especially I use the guys at Bulk Reef Supply as an example a lot. They really are promoters of this hobby. They want it to grow, they want to see you succeed. And so that's another thing I love. But let's get back to the coral. So coral is actually a live animal, and there's thousands and thousands of different species of coral. And now we're starting to learn that even in those species of coral, there's subspecies. And some corals like this, Walt Disney Acropora, you can see each one of those little wavy things coming out is called a polyp head. And those polyps are like their own individual mouth, an animal almost. And so there's something about this that I just love it. It's just so intriguing to me. I love being able to keep this type of animal, especially in a tank, and watch it grow, watch it flourish. And the harder you work at it and the more that you put into it, the more that you see positive results. Now I know that there's a lot of people out there who have those tanks and they just want to dial it in and set it and forget it. But I want to tell you, the least attention that I've put into this tank, or the times where I've put the least into it, is the times where I've got the least out of it. The times where I put the most into it are the times that I get the most out of it. And what I mean by that isn't putting my hands in the water every day, doing all kinds of weird things and mechanical things, filtration, cleaning things. I mean the time that I spend paying attention to these animals, to what works for them, what's best for them. A lot of that just means stability, just monitoring and testing the tank, making sure that things are stable, and I enjoy it. So at the beginning of the video, I brought up maintenance almost like it was a difficult or challenging thing. Some of you guys are going to know what I'm talking about, but maintenance is actually fun. I look forward to a big water change. I look forward to cleaning out the filter socks, and I look forward to cleaning the sand bed and cleaning out the protein skimmer, cleaning the wave makers for better efficiency, and dialing in the dosing pump, getting my elements right in the water, calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, salinity, temperature. I look forward to working on that stuff and monitoring it and giving it attention, because the more that I do, the more this tank thrives, the more the coral thrives, the better colors I get, the healthier the coral is, and the healthier I am. And the healthier that, or the happier I am. And the happier that I am, the happier my wife is and our family is. And it's a more enjoyable experience. So, and let there be something to be said about that is if you think that the maintenance sucks and you don't enjoy it, then maybe you should re-question your motives in the hobby. Uh, what do you really want to get out of this hobby? I'm not saying that you should just get out. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I think maybe it's time to start looking for ways to find more enjoyment in it, to appreciate it more, to appreciate these animals more, and to look for ways that you can encourage other reefers and help them along and help them to understand in areas maybe that you've struggled with in the past as well. So all that being said, I know that was a mouthful, and a lot of my videos turn out to be a lot of rambling, but it looks like some of you guys enjoy it. I just want to be able to share with the reefing community some of the things that have been shared with me and offer back some of the things that have been offered to me. So now let's talk a little bit about what is the most difficult part of this hobby. What's the most challenging? What kind of stuff isn't fun and enjoyable? So, all right, hey guys, back. My camera almost died there. So, anyways, the most challenging part of owning and keeping a reef tank is probably dealing with loss. So, most of you guys know that this can be a pretty expensive hobby. Look at that, that's a double-headed orange scully, and unfortunately shipping took 2 days on it, and sometimes that happens if there's a delay with UPS or FedEx, and it came in, it was really struggling, and it doesn't look like it's going to be able to bounce back. So watching this coral die is very, very troubling. Very difficult to do, not only because the animal is dying, but also because you're losing some money and it doesn't look good. It's hard to watch, especially if you care about the animal. So that's one thing. The flip side of that is if your tank gets so full, like mine, and you decide you want to start selling coral and start a business, the most difficult and challenging thing for me is shipping. And I don't mean that it's hard to bag up a coral and put some water in there and pack a box with maybe a heat pack or something. But the hardest part is knowing that you're taking it out of its natural environment, to put it in a bag, to put it in a box, that you're going to send out with a shipping company who is probably going to chuck the box around if one of them is having a bad day. Who knows what's going to happen to that box. And so the container that or the bag that the coral is in, I mean, you really have to do a good job packing it. And then there's the uncertainty of not knowing if that coral's going to make it on the flight or in the car, in the delivery vehicle. And there's just a lot of pressure and stress in that. So if you're a faint-hearted person, I do not recommend selling coral unless you're going to sell locally only. And the reason for that is because loss happens. It just does. And I don't care if you're the best coral shipper in the world and you spend more money on shipping than it's even worth. There's going to be accidents. It's going to happen. Can you stomach the loss? Can you deal with it? And can you deal with it financially? So something to consider. And one more thought I have for you guys here. All right, guys. So my final thought is this. All in all, this hobby has a wide, very wide range of acceptability. And what I mean by that is you can get in up to your neck like I am, or you can get in even deeper up over your head and put yourself out there and get top of the line everything, buy all the best corals, put all your money into it, and you might do really well. You might struggle, you might learn a lot of lessons, um, but you might make it, and that's cool. And that's okay for you if that's what you want to do. You might also just want to be very minimal with it, or at least starting out, and start very slow. Just start with some fish, some cheap fish, and maybe some green star polyp, one of the easiest corals to keep. And maybe you want to go that route, and that's okay. There's nothing to be said that's less about you and your approach than somebody who wants to dive in, or even has been in the hobby for 30 years and knows almost everything about it, which I haven't met anybody who knows almost everything about this hobby. I'm telling you, you could study for hours a day for the rest of your life, be the smartest person in the world, and still just begin to scratch the surface of understanding these animals and the fish and the environment that they live in and come from. So whatever range and wherever you're looking at getting into the hobby, or wherever you're at in the hobby right now, maybe it's more than a hobby to you, maybe it's become your life, that's cool. But don't look at others and compare yourself and your own journey and your own success or failures to them. Just know that each person has a different level, a different place, and it's okay to be where you're at. So don't let it bum you out. Like I said, it's not really for the weak-hearted and the soft, because there's going to be a lot of challenges along the way. Just the other night, right when I was going to bed, my pump wouldn't turn back on, my return pump. And I'm like, oh, great. What am I going to do? Leave the sump off for the night and possibly lose a bunch of bacteria down there, or just try to figure out what's going on with it and fix it quick. I wound up being able to fix it in like 5 minutes. So it was just a rock that flew into the impeller, but stuff like that's going to happen. So are you willing to deal with it? Are you willing to address it? If you're not, but you still want to be in the hobby, then you got to figure something out. You got to figure it out. But if you are, then I want to encourage you, stick with it. Learn from others' mistakes, learn from others' successes, and continue to keep plugging in, continue to do your research, continue to learn, and continue to be teachable. That's one thing I want to say is everybody in this hobby needs to maintain a certain level of teachability, because as soon as you think that you've got it all figured out and there's nothing else to learn, man, pride cometh before a fall, right? So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this video. There's a lot more I could have talked about, and in some future videos I'd like to be able to discuss it and give some more pointers and tips, and be able to help you guys out a little bit more. And I'm going to keep learning in the meantime, keep doing some research, and thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, but if you give me a thumbs down, remember, please give me a reason so I know, and look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. One final nice little shot. All right, Aquatic Bob's out.